Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thursday, July 23rd live stream. I am off camera today because if I'm being honest, I'm just a little bit under the weather, but also I think I'm perfectly fine, but a little under the weather. So I've decided to give myself a break. And for only the second time ever in 2 years, I am opting to go camera off. So instead we have this adorable picture of Heidi the Sheltie. And I think today is going to be a really, really focused stream. I have a lot that I want to get to. I did a little work ahead of time last night asking Codex some questions about what we can do to get the grouping settled for our app. And really, I just want to jump right into things. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. Normally I have the camera on. Today I don't. And I might do this more often. I don't know. I haven't decided. With that being said, we are working on a database app. Let's get it fired up here. Come on. Let's get it fired up here. I know this defeats the purpose, but the real estate in VS Code is so precious. So I'm going to start this up here. npm run dev. We'll get it fired up. Localhost, where are you? Where's the browser? If you're new here, we're working on a database app. So here's what I've done. And yep, I'm up to 69 transcripts. After today, it will be 70. And here's what I'm doing. I'm transcribing all of my live stream content for the last 2 years, and I built a database so I can search said database. So let's do an example here. Let's say that I want to choose all of my live streams, and again, I only have the last 69 of my back catalog entered into the database. So let's search for deployment. And there's two modes. There's keyword and there's searching the titles or searching the excerpts, which is the content of the transcripts. So let's search. I think this will take a moment. Oh, and there's Heidi. Proof that the dog is real. 51 transcripts, 253 matching excerpts. But the excerpts don't have a lot of context. So I don't know what it is that I'm actually saying here, right? We can also search the keyword deployment and we can look for the titles to see if I have any videos with the word deployment. So let's search that. And of the last 69 transcripts, we have 2 matching. This will update this. It's actually 2 titles where I use this keyword deployment. So it's a pretty cool project. What I want to do today, if we go back to deployment, what I want to do today is let's look at the network tab. It'll give you a much clearer picture of what's actually going on here and what I want to do today. So we're returning 253 results, but that's in 51 transcripts. So there's obviously duplicates here. So if we look at our network request and we look at our results, we'll look at the first 100 results. There's lots of duplicate IDs here. So I asked Codex yesterday to help me get these grouped because I'll just be honest, my JavaScript skills are a little bit not quite. I'm sure I could figure this out, but I didn't want to stumble through this or have this turn into a vanilla JavaScript struggle session. So I decided to just ask for a little help just for the sake of moving things along. So this is what we're going to do today. And I'm pretty excited. The other thing that we're going to do is that we are going to add more context to these excerpts. So the excerpt is actually a time-stamped chunk from the transcript. We're going to add 2 excerpts before or chunks and 2 after to give these a little more context. So that's part 2 of what we're going to do today. So first we're going to do the grouping, then we're going to add the excerpts, which is an update to the API. Not an update to the database, but just an update to the API. And then of course we have to update how we're doing that render. So okay, with that being said, I'm going to say hello to the chat because I think a few people have rolled in. Game Clip says you use Chat AI too. Interesting. Yeah. So Codex, I think you're referring to Codex. We definitely are lovers of ChatGPT here. And I've in the last couple of months, I've discovered the power and the beauty of Codex. I know some people use Claude Code. I'm a big fan of Codex. It's working really well for me. Roha-chan is also here. Good morning, my friend. What an exciting project. Yes, I'm honestly so thrilled with how this is turning out. Let me give you an example of how so if you are new here or if you didn't get the gist of the entire project, my intention is that I want to start producing more educational content, thinking about courses, ebooks, things like that. And I know what I talk about over and over and over again, but I'm also just thinking like I'm thinking about the hundreds of hours of content that I have put out into the YouTube ether, live streaming ether. And wouldn't it be great if I could harness some of the things that I have said over and over and over the last 2 years? So I ended up, one thing led to another, and I started transcribing all of my live streams, and it just turned into this really incredible opportunity to have Codex analyze the written text of everything that I've talked about and help me organize my ideas by actually mining my own words. Here's what I don't want to do. I do not want to ask ChatGPT to write an ebook for me. That's not what I want. What I would love is for Codex to help me organize my thoughts, my words, the actual things that I teach. That's what I want. And this database is helping me mine that information. So I think deployment is a great example here. I'm trying to think, what was I doing yesterday? QA. Oh, this is a really good example. Okay, so I'm going to reset. So let's look for QA. Yeah, let's just look for QA as a keyword in all of my excerpts. And it might take a second. That's okay though. I don't mind. Here we go. Sorry, I wasn't sharing. So we're searching for QA as a keyword in all of my excerpts. So here are the results. 150 matching excerpts in 34 transcripts. But we don't get a lot of context based on the excerpt itself. So, okay, what if I search titles instead? Where have I used QA in the title of a video? Vanilla JavaScript, navigation, and site QA. Front-end QA, sidebar styling and deployment. Front-end QA for a static website. QA for a vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript website. Static site QA. Now I have 5 transcripts, 5 results, where I can tell Codex, hey, read these 5 transcripts where I was spending enough time on QA that I included it in the title, and help me organize an ebook based on my personal QA philosophy and how I QA. So powerful, so incredibly powerful. So this is really the point of this database. It's to help me mine my own ideas. I also have a link here, so if I want to go and actually watch that video, here's the really cool part. Let's go back to excerpts. We'll search again for QA. We can do QA. So let's click this link because it is a time-stamped link to where I'm actually talking about this. For the 2 hours of work. styles for the homepage layout. And Rahul is saying the reason for using aspect ratio instead. Okay, well, clearly that was a terrible example. The timestamp does not appear to actually go to that. Let's see here. See if we can find a big one. I wonder if this was, so clearly this was off a little bit. Here is our QA. Let's try this. I do have it linked down in the chat. This project is called Scenic. Here is our QA. And by the way, there is... Okay, so that one was more accurate. Okay, I'm losing track here. That one was more accurate. Here is our QA. We can do QA. I kind of want to try this one again and see if I just missed it. For the 2 hours of work. Go ahead and push this up to GitHub. I think this is very respectable for the 2 hours of work. Or the... And so I don't think that all of my timestamps are working quite the way they should, but you know what? We'll refine the process. We will refine the process. But you can see what I'm getting at here. So if I wanted to go back to titles and search for every video that I've done that includes QA in a title, now I would know exactly what transcripts to pull out of my little archive, and I would have Codex analyze those transcripts and help me organize whatever it is that I want to do, a course, an ebook, something like that. So really cool project. And GameClip says, I have used Deep AI today and it's incredible. It's giving me the thing which I wanted and I have done it. Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly powerful, isn't it? Because I'm having the same experience, GameClips, because I am obviously extremely focused on the front end. That's where I excel. That's where I enjoy spending my time. I don't have a deep desire to learn the back end, to understand databases, to write importer files, but I have a million ideas, and now I can execute those ideas pretty easily, pretty quickly. Like something that if I really wanted to build this by hand, it probably would have taken me weeks to figure it out and do it myself. And we got this done in a couple of days. And that's incredibly powerful, especially for somebody. Even though I don't do the back end, I still understand full stack apps and full stack projects. And I know how to write requirements. I know how to ask for things. I know how to QA. I know how to deploy. I know how to do those things. So for me, it's a very powerful tool. I wonder how people with less experience are using it and getting good results, because I find that I have to be incredibly detailed in order to get the results that I want. So I think it's interesting and just incredibly powerful. GameClips is asking, what's your PC specs? So I'm not on a PC, I'm on a Mac. I have a MacBook Pro. What are my specs? I can tell you. I have the Apple M3 Max chip. I have 36 gigabytes of memory, if that helps, if that's what you're wondering. So, all right. So let's get back to Codex. And here's what I asked it yesterday. And we're going to have Codex help us with this. So I said last night, I said when results are displayed, every result represents an excerpt or a chunk. I want the results to be grouped by title or transcript, and each excerpt and timestamp listed as part of the title. So if there are 253 matching excerpts and 51 transcripts, there should be 51 results. Does that make sense? Explain to me the JavaScript I can use to group the results. Please don't change any code. I want you to explain it to me first. And then I gave it the path, which was in client and app.js. Yes, that makes sense. The API should continue returning 253 matching chunks because each match has its own excerpt and timestamp. The client can then group those chunks into 51 transcript level display results. Currently, this line creates one LI for every chunk. Yes, and it's being displayed right now in an ordered list. Instead, group the chunks by transcript ID, then render one LI for each group. So it's going to group the results first. A map is useful here because each transcript ID becomes one group. The first matching chunk creates the group. Later chunks with the same transcript ID are added to excerpts. Map insertion order preserves the order in which transcripts first appear in the API results. Using transcript ID is appropriate within one response. If you later need a durable identifier across database rebuilds, use transcript path instead. I don't think so. I think as long as the IDs are unique, it's okay if they change. So I'm not overly concerned about that. We'll deal with it if we need to. And then group before rendering. So inside the handle search, replace the direct mapping conceptually with this. Okay, it's talking about this right here. Your existing status message can remain, and we can update this if we need to. But the result list would contain only 51 top-level LI elements. And then we would render one transcript group. And this would be the updated render code. Although the API orders results by relevance, and this is another thing, we need to get some clarity on relevance and match because I think that's going to be part of the sorting. Although the API orders results by relevance, sorting each transcript's excerpts by chunk ordinal displays them in transcript order. You could use local start seconds instead, but chunk ordinal is safer when adjacent chunks have identical timestamps. Render each excerpt and timestamp. This produces the structure like this. I might change this around a little bit, but I'm actually good with this. We're going to format the date also. So the important separation is the API result equals one matching chunk. The display result equals one transcript containing matching chunks. That preserves accurate chunk level search data while giving you the grouped presentation you want. One additional consideration, scope equals titles returns transcript level results without excerpts. I would apply this grouping renderer only when response query scope equals chunks, fair, and keep a simpler transcript renderer for title search responses. No code has been changed. Okay, so let's go ahead and just continue with this. Continue and implement these changes. Thanks. And there we go. Okay, so we'll let this work in the background. And Rohit Chan says, I also have a MacBook Pro, but lately I've been coding a lot on my M4 Air just fine. Interesting. You know, for years, I had my 2015 MacBook Pro that I loved. I still have it. And honestly, I would probably still be using it because I find that front-end development has such low overhead. It's so easy even to use a less powerful machine. But once I started streaming, I had to get a new MacBook Pro. I was forced after 9 years. Well, it's the 2023 MacBook Pro, but I bought it in 2024. So yeah, 9 years I waited before I bought another one. And I only bought a new one because I couldn't stream on the 2015 MacBook Pro, but I can easily stream and do all of these things on the 2023 MacBook Pro. So I really have to resist the urge to collect tech. I mean, I've done that in the past, and over the last year, I've actually sold quite a few things. I'm trying to be, oh, that's interesting. Why did that pop up? I don't know. Oh, ChatGPT app would like to record this computer's screen and audio. Grant access to this application in privacy and security settings located in system settings. I'm going to say deny. Why do you need access to record me? Anyways, I have to resist the urge to buy extra tech. And take a simpler approach to what I own, as much as I would love to try an M4 Air. So, all right, let's see how this turned out. So, implemented grouped transcript results. Chunk searches now group results by transcript ID, render top level result per transcript, show the number of matching excerpts for each transcript, sort nested excerpts. Got it, got it, got it. Title only searches retain their separate transcript level rendering. Okay, well, let's just check it out and see how things look. Okay, yep, I can tell this is new. Function group results by transcript, render one transcript with all of its matching excerpts, render one matching excerpt and its timestamp, render a transcript return. So this is a new function by title only. Okay, so let's do a search and see how it goes. So we'll try deployment because we kind of know what to expect here, right? Nice. Nice. So clearly we need to work on the UI. We do not have, I need to design and update this UI. And we're going to probably take care of that this weekend. Today is all about finishing the functionality, getting the grouping figured out, adding the excerpts. So this is a pretty good excerpt. Now I have a database of my words, my thoughts, me responding to the chat, me working, me explaining accessibility, explaining QA, explaining deployment. That's adorable that that popped up there. Let's see if one of these timestamps worked. That I posted. Now I have a database of my words, my thoughts, me responding to the chat, me working, me explaining accessibility. So clearly that timestamp worked. That's awesome. So if I read an excerpt and I'm like, wow, I would love a little more context for what I was actually saying there, I can actually click that link and go to the spot in the video and watch that. So this has, look at all these excerpts. This has 25 excerpts for this one title. And I guess that doesn't surprise me. So I would like now to actually ask ChatGPT about the relevance and the matches. So let's look at our let's look at the API. so we can see. We'll do this again. Deployment. I suppose we should make sure that our titles still work. So if we go to titles and search again. All right, and our layout is still preserved. So we'll go back to excerpts. Okay. So now let's just take a look at our API in the network tab. Oh, we want results. Stop. Can I not move you up? So we've got match count 4. Relevance score. So I want more context from ChatGPT on match count and relevance. If we have, I mean, this is really good to see this like this. So we've got 25 excerpts, chunk matches for this one transcript, this one video, which makes sense because it's the deployment video that I would say deployment 25 times. Maybe we want to make sure that based on a match count or a relevance score, we're only showing the top 5, something like that. So let me pull up this conversation with So here is our chat where we've been working on this. Okay. So this is the conversation where we were talking about additional context for the excerpts. So we'll go ahead and implement this, but first we're just going to ask. Well, first we're going to let it know that this is actually working. So, okay. The grouping has been implemented. Before we proceed with the grouping has been implemented. Before we proceed with adding excerpts before and after the matched excerpt results, can you please explain the match count and relevance score? So we've got match count and relevance score. What are these? I need context. One transcript has 25 excerpts. I think I can use the relevance score to maybe only show the top 5. So let's let this answer. And one moment, please. So let's see how ChatGPT is answering this question. This is actually a really important design question because these two values answer different questions. Match count. This answers how many chunks in this transcript matched my search. Okay, suppose you search CSS. Transcript A might contain, okay, so was I looking at the wrong thing? That's interesting. So, let's see here. Okay, I want to verify that. So, okay, 4. So this would be a match score of 4, expanding the search API of a vanilla JavaScript app part 5. Okay. $722, match count 4, expanding the search. Okay, got it. So that was literally the first one. What's this one? Match count 25. So this is probably this one. Okay, so it's literally how many times that excerpt was found within a single transcript. Okay, I'm with you so far. Transcript A might contain chunk 15, chunk 38, blah, blah, blah. Every one of those 5 results would have a match count of 5. It's a transcript level statistic. It tells you this transcript talks about CSS a lot. It does not tell you whether this particular chunk is the best one. Relevance score. This answers how well did this chunk match the search. Suppose these are your results. CSS Grid is amazing. CSS Flexbox with CSS. I like CSS. CSS. Okay. Now you know all 5 matched. Chunk 38 is probably the best match. They work together. Imagine 2 transcripts. Transcript A, match count equals 18, highest relevance equals 9.8. Transcript B, match count equals 2, highest relevance equals 11.3. One transcript discusses the topic repeatedly. The other has only 2 mentions, but one is an extremely good match. Those are different signals. I think I know where you're going. You said one transcript has 25 excerpts. Exactly. Showing 25 nearly identical results isn't helpful. Instead, you could group them. 25 matches. Maybe just show the best, most relevant. That immediately becomes manageable. I actually wouldn't use match count for filtering. I'd use it for display. 25 matches, that's useful information. I would use relevance score. I think you're thinking along exactly the lines I would. If one transcript has 25 matches, maybe initially show the top 5, sorted by relevance, then a link to show all 25 if the user wants them. Well, I'm the user, right? That gives you the best of both worlds. One thing I would verify, I'd verify exactly how you're calculating relevance score. Well, I have no idea. If it's coming directly from SQLite's BM25, I think so, then it's not a percentage, it's just a ranking metric. That means you should think of it as 9.82 is better than 4.71, not 9.82 means 98% relevant. Its purpose is ordering, not expressing confidence. Okay, I actually like where your front end is heading. I can already picture it. Yeah, I would just use it as like a ranking system or an ordering system, not necessarily a confidence system. Okay. I like thinking of it as using it to sort rather than whether it's actually useful. Then it's actually useful. Yeah. So for each grouped transcript, you can sort its excerpts by relevance score descending. Well, let's see how it's currently grouped and just add the relevance score. So here's our render dropdowns. Here's render group results by transcript. Here's the excerpts. Groups set result transcript ID. Title, date, project, transcript path, excerpt. And then let's just do the relevance. And this can be the result dot relevance score. Is it going to automatically do it for us? I can't tell. Let's try it. No, we have to add it. Details. Okay, I think we have to add it here. So I think we can just do well, these are the details for the transcript. I want to render the excerpt, which is here. So let's do relevance equals document, create element, and then the relevance score can be here. It's the text content equals the result, relevance score, and then we'll add it right here. All right, so here's our relevance score. So it's not automatically in order by relevance. It's not, doesn't appear to be in any, well, I think the order is the timestamp order. Let's see here. So where are we rendering the excerpt? Right here. So I kind of want to sort the excerpts first. So here's the sorted excerpts. Oh, here. It's sorting by chunk ordinal. Which is what? What is the chunk ordinal? Hang on. Is that the, let's look here. I think I'm just going to change that. So the chunk ordinal is, I think I have to ask what the chunk ordinal represents. What does that represent? What does the chunk ordinal represent? Chunk ordinal is the chunk's position inside the transcript. So if a transcript is parsed into chunks in source order. Got it. Okay, so we're going to change how this sorts. Instead of chunk ordinal, I want to sort by relevance. And the relevance is a number. It's not a string. Let's see here. Ordinal is also a number. Where's the relevance? Right here. I mean, what if I just change this to relevance score? Then what happens? Relevance score. Let's see. Oh, other direction, but we're close. Right, left. All right, so now we're getting, everything is sorting by relevance. Good, with the highest to the lowest. So now we want to make sure that we're only showing the first 5. And HBKF is here. Welcome. Hello. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. And Manic Stark says, hey, I know React.js. Should I move to Next.js or start with backend? Since I know JavaScript, I am leaning more towards Express. You know, I don't have a strong opinion on questions like this. I think that you should do whatever sounds interesting to you. If you're leaning towards Express, then you should learn Express. I think what you decide to learn depends on a lot of different things. Number 1, do you have a job and what are they asking you to learn? Number 2, when you look at job listings, if you don't have a job, what is the most common thing that is required? And number 3, what do you enjoy? Because you will spend hours of your life learning to be good at the programming languages that you choose to learn. So you might as well learn something that you enjoy. Beyond that, I have no strong opinions. Although I will admit that it would seem that React is the thing to learn right now. So, spoiler alert, or I guess scandalous, I've never used React. I used Vue for 7 years at my last job, and I've worked on a handful of Angular apps. I've never used React. So learn what sounds interesting to you. That's my best advice. Okay, back to this. So now we're sorting by relevance. Good, good, good. That was an easy fix. That was an easy switch. Now let's just make sure that we're only showing the first. I'm going to say, I mean, I don't know if we look at what these results actually are. It's interesting what they say is relevant. So here, search for deployment, building GitHub Actions deployment. Too broad is deployment because I don't do very many things related to deployment, but I do talk about deployment. GitHub Actions deployment had 42 matches. Clearly, this is a transcript from actually working on the database. Again, I'll use deployment or DevOps, search deployment, see which streams are actually relevant. So there's 12, there's 9, there's 16. Entire team shares that responsibility, and you all play a role in the best practices around deployment and the server configuration and how you're dealing with servers. Now, I would say that this is extremely relevant. And I would say that the higher the numbers get, in my opinion, they are less relevant. So it's interesting. Is that, am I misunderstanding the pattern? Look at this. This is the lowest number, but in my opinion, this is more relevant. I've started doing more deployment content because those conversations are huge at an organization. Do you do deployment? Why is that more relevant? Okay, let's ask some questions here. Could this somehow be like backwards in the database? I don't know. Okay, I'm now sorting by relevance score, not chunk ordinal. I'm looking at the results, and in my opinion, the lowest scores seem the most relevant, in my opinion. That's actually very possible, and it's worth verifying before you build the UI around it. SQLite's BM25 has an unintuitive behavior. Lower values are better matches. The best possible score is often close to 0 or even negative before transformation. Earlier, Codex said that it was transforming the score with round negative BM256 to make higher equals better. If you're now observing that lower scores consistently look better, one of two things is happening. The transformation isn't actually being applied in the query you're looking at. Or number two, the transformation is being applied twice or otherwise inverted. Before changing the front end, I do one quick check. Search for something with a handful of results like GitHub Actions. Then look at the highest relevant score, the lowest relevant score. Read the actual, okay, well, I've already done this. If over several searches, the lower values consistently produce the better matches, then the backend semantics are the opposite of what Codex documented. I would fix that in the backend rather than compensate in the front end. The API contract should have a single unambiguous meaning. Either higher is better or lower is better, but it should never require the front end to guess. So I wouldn't sort anything yet. I'd verify which direction the API is actually returning. If your observations hold across multiple searches, I'd inspect the SQL next. Okay, well, let's just try one more and see what happens. This is my observation so far, though, that the lower number seems to be better. So let's try GitHub Actions. 21 results in 9 transcripts. So high score. Yeah, I would say that the lower, this is kind of the opposite. Yep. Okay. So let's ask Codex. Okay. Oh, let's ask ChatGPT. I need ChatGPT to write this prompt though, so it gets asked in the correct way. I've verified the lowest scores are the most relevant. Can you please write a prompt for Codex to double check this and either fix it or properly document it? Okay, this is a focused search ranking audit and correction task. Complete only this job. Verify the actual meaning and ordering of relevance score for chunk search results. The project documentation currently states that higher scores are more relevant, but repeated manual review of real API results indicates that lower scores appear more relevant. Determine which interpretation is correct. Then either fix the backend so the documented meaning is true, or update the documentation if the current backend behavior is correct and should be preserved. Do not make assumptions. Base the decision on actual SQL, API output tests, and SQLite FTS5 behavior. Inspect the chunk search SQL, the title search SQL, any BM25 transformations, API response mapping, tests and fixtures, the API contract markdown file, the API docs markdown file, the database design markdown file. Confirm whether the API currently returns text higher relevance score equals better match or lower relevance score equals better match. Also, verify the corresponding title search field relevance. Required verification. Use several real searches with multiple results, including broad and phrase searches. Preferred API behavior. For front-end simplicity, we prefer a higher score equals a better match for both relevance score and relevance. If the current implementation does not satisfy that rule, fix it at the backend response query level. Do not make the front end reverse or interpret scores. Okay, and then tests, documentation, constraints, verification, deliverable, when done. Okay, so this is huge. So I'm going to copy this. So let's put this in our jobs. And I'm going to call this relevance score task. Whoops. This is the relevance score task. And there's always a little weird formatting. I don't need this. Okay. And I'm going to take, so I'm just going to tell it, please perform the relevance score task.md, the jobs slash relevance score task.md. Oh, come on. Please perform the jobs relevance score task.mb. I think we can just do this. And then it'll come in here and read this. Okay, so we'll let this run. And Osloy is here using AI to write a prompt for another AI. You know, this is the genius of ChatGPT. I mean, I kind of stumbled into this, honestly, using AI to prompt another AI. How did how did I figure this out? I don't know. I feel like I was just doing my normal brainstorming session with ChatGPT, learning how to use Codex, and the next thing I knew, ChatGPT was like spitting out these really well-written prompts, including a lot of detail that I just never would have thought of. And the other thing that I very quickly realized is that I don't seem to run into any usage limits just using the garden variety ChatGPT. I'm sure they exist. I have no idea what it is. And I talk to ChatGPT sometimes all day long about a lot of different things, and I never run into any limits. I'm on the $20 a month plan. So I figured out right away that I could save resources in Codex. And mostly get my prompts right. It's not that I've never had a mishap in Codex. I've had a couple, but for the most part, because ChatGPT understands what it is that I'm trying to do, it's really, really good at writing the prompts. It's really cool, actually. So, good observation. Okay, so let's see here. The code currently negates SQLite's raw BM25 value once, rounds it to 6 decimals, and sorts descending for both scopes. Now I'm checking multiple real result sets and their underlying raw values to confirm that this transformation, not the field name or display order, produces the actual ranking direction. The real data confirms the implementation is already directionally correct. SQLite's strongest raw BM25 values are the most negative. The API negates once and rounds, so the strongest matches become the largest positive values. I won't change backend ranking logic. I'll add deterministic tests that prove the raw to API transformation for both scopes, then make the documentation and fixtures explicit. I don't know. It kind of, am I understanding this correctly? That it's like, yeah, it's right. It's doing it the right way. We'll wait and see what happens here. And while this is working, I am going to take a break and stretch my legs and get a glass of water. Hold, please. Okay. And Osloy says, hold please for Holden Industries. All right, we're back. So let's see what it says here. Okay. The conclusion is unambiguous. Higher relevance score equals stronger chunk match. Higher relevance equals stronger title match. Current transformation API score equals SQLite's raw BM25 values are lower is better. Okay. The backend negates them exactly once, rounds to 6 decimals, and orders results descending. The response mapping does not transform them again, so no backend correction was necessary. Created relevance score audit.md with the SQ analysis, raw values, live observations, decision, and verification results. Also added deterministic score direction tests for chunks and titles. Let's show this and the audit to ChatGPT, and I need ChatGPT to explain it to me like I'm a child. But you know what? This is all part of the process. Here's our docs. Here's our audit. I'm here for it. I mean, can you think of a better project to learn how to do all these things on than a personal private database? So I'm here for it. This is a good audit, and one sentence stood out to me. No backend or front-end code was changed. The audit confirmed that the existing SQL and response mapping already satisfied the preferred contract. That means the implementation is internally consistent, so I read that correctly. However, it doesn't explain your observation, which is what I'd investigate next. You said you manually sorted by relevance score and the lowest scores looked more useful. There are a few reasons that can happen even when the ranking is correct. BM25 ranks lexical strength, not usefulness. A chunk that is literally database is an extremely strong lexical match for the query database, even though it's not very informative. BM25 doesn't know that you want context. Your transcripts are very granular. A one-word chunk can receive a higher BM25 score than a neighboring chunk that actually contains the explanation you're looking for. Broad queries like CSS or database naturally produce many exact token matches, so the ranking emphasizes term frequency and rarity rather than human-readable context. I think this actually reinforces the feature you're planning next, context windows. Yes. Once each result includes 2 chunks before and 2 after, a highly ranked one-word match suddenly becomes much more valuable because you'll see the surrounding explanation. And so I'm thinking honestly that ChatGPT is right. Let's get this context window implemented. Let's not worry about excluding anything. Let's show everything. Get the context window implemented and just work on the UI and not worry about it. And so then maybe relevance score is just a way that we could search. Maybe that's all that we're going to do. We're just going to search within each result the relevance score. Right? We'll just make it a feature to sort. One other thought, I wouldn't hide results purely based on relevance score. I would use it to group results by transcript, sort the matches within each transcript by descending relevance score, show the top 5 initially, let the user expand to see the rest. I'm the user. That way you're using the score for what it's good at ordering while still allowing the user to reach lower ranked matches that may be more useful in context. So I think your original instinct was right. The issue isn't that the scoring is wrong, it's that ranking and readability are different problems, and the context window feature addresses the second one nicely. Okay. Okay. I pretty much agree. Next, we'll make the update for the context chunks. I think sorting by relevance can be a UI feature. I'll go back to sorting by chunk ordinal for now. Which displays the excerpts in excerpts in the order they appear in the transcript. This is fine for a default view. I'm also not going to hide anything initially for now. Okay, let's let ChatGPT respond. And Nikhil for the win is here. Hello, welcome. Nikhil? Am I saying that correctly? And Malik Robinson is here. Go Elmo. I have been here since the start. I have just been distracted by my meetings. My streak is not broken. Well, thank goodness. Thank goodness that you're here. I'm happy to have you, of course. And we're having a nice chill day. Maybe this is a good time to remind people, hey, would you be so kind as to like this video, subscribe if you're new here. Normally, I'm on camera. Today, I'm not. It's only the second time in 2 years I have not appeared on camera, and I'm feeling I might do this more often. Just kind of give myself a break, right? Do me a favor, like, subscribe. Helps the channel grow, helps the algorithm out, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content, and I would appreciate it so much. And Osley says, I had a friend who pronounced it Nikhil. Nikhil. There we go. Welcome. We're happy to have you. All right. ChatGPT says that's a sensible default. For now, group by transcript. Sort each transcript's excerpts by chunk ordinal ascending. Show every match. Add the 2 before, 2 after context. Next. Treat relevance sorting as an optional UI control later. Yeah. You know, adding sorting features with like a radio button or a toggle or a drop down is pretty easy. So I'm not too concerned about that. Chunk ordinal gives you the natural conversational flow, which will be easier to evaluate once context is included. So, okay, agreed. Next, please write the prompt to ask Codex to include two chunk matches before and 2 chunk matches after. All right, let's see what we come up with. Okay, I made one important change based on today's discussion. The primary YouTube timestamp now starts at the earliest context chunk, not the match chunk. Yeah, we actually figured that out yesterday, so that's okay. The match chunk timestamp is preserved separately, so the front end can still identify and highlight the actual match. Fair? Everything else is intentionally back end only. So here's our prompt. This is a focused back-end API enhancement. Complete only this job. Objective: expand chunk search results so every matching chunk includes up to 2 immediately preceding chunks and up to 2 immediately following chunks from the same transcript. The additional chunks are presentation context only. They must not affect matching, relevance, ordering, filtering, match counts. Do not modify the front end. Yeah, we can add them ourselves. Current behavior. It's search scope chunks. Returns 1 result per matching transcript chunk. Each result currently represents only the matched chunk. New behavior. Each chunk search result should also include context before, context after. Each array should contain up to 2 adjacent chunks from the same transcript. Ordering. Context before must be chronological. 2 before, 1 before. Context after must also be chronological. 1 after, 2 after. Do not reverse either array. If the match occurs near the beginning or end of the transcript, return fewer items as appropriate. If no context exists, return an empty array. Context chunk object. Each context chunk should contain the ID, the ordinal, local start seconds, local end seconds, local timestamp, and text. Do not include relevance, relevance score, match count, result type. Context chunks are not search results. Matched chunk. The matched chunk remains the actual search result. Keep the existing matched chunk fields exactly as they are. Do not concatenate context into the match excerpt. The front end will determine how context is displayed. So what I'll do is I'll highlight the thing that was the actual match. Playback timestamp. The primary playback timestamp and YouTube URL should begin at the earliest available chunk in the returned context window. Priority. First item in context before, match chunk if there is no preceding context. The API should therefore distinguish match timestamp from playback timestamp. If the API does not already expose both concepts clearly, introduce explicit playback fields such as playback start seconds, playback timestamp URL. Okay, this is a lot. I don't know if I need to keep reading all of this. I think we get the gist. Yeah, I think we get the gist. I have one suggestion that I intentionally didn't include because I think it's a front-end decision. I would not ask Codex to insert the match chunk into the middle of the context arrays. Keeping the match chunk separate from the context before and context after gives you complete flexibility in how you render it, different background, highlighting borders, etc., without the API making presentation decisions. I agree. I agree. Okay, so let's get this up. So this is going to be called the context chunks task. Okay, nice. So the task is, please complete the jobs context chunks task.md. Okay. Well, here goes nothing. I'll read the context chunks task and inspect the relevant search contract, SQL, tests, and current working tree changes. Then I'll implement only that feature and run the required verification. And Nikhil is asking, what's the project you are doing? Well, I think I do have it down in the description. There's also a GitHub repository. This is a database of transcripts from all of my YouTube live streams. So I have transcribed, I'm in the process of transcribing all of the live streams that I've done over the last 2 years, and I created a searchable database of those transcripts. So, whoops. Oh, this drives me crazy. Okay. I'll use one bounded SQL query per search with correlated subqueries that read at most 2 neighboring rows on each side through the existing transcript ID and ordinal index. This avoids an unbounded query per result pattern and keeps context entirely outside FTS matching, scoring, counts, and filters. Sounds good. Oh, I can't with this pop-out hover thing. Okay, the focus tests pass, including duplicate timestamps, transcript boundaries, short transcripts, beginning and fallback, and unchanged title results. I'm now capturing real context windows for the existing chunk fixture and documenting the response contract and bounded SQL strategy. Well, it's taking a moment. What else can we search for? So what if we did, how about navigation? And we'll search titles. How many titles in the last 69 transcripts included navigation? 4. How about excerpts? $700 matching excerpts and 58 transcripts. I mean, I can see honestly the titles being, if I'm being honest, the titles, since I'm going back and updating my titles to be a little more, I'm using Codex to read the transcripts and help me update the titles to be more reflective of what the live stream ended up being about. So I'm kind of seeing the titles as being slightly more useful right now. But clearly there are examples where an excerpt could also be more useful. And interestingly enough, it's the lower scores. And make sure the testing your 404 links is just a part of your QA process. I mean, I could easily see myself forgetting, if I say I'm writing an ebook on QA, I could see myself forgetting to do this. It's plenty of time to go through each page top to bottom and get all those QA styles done. Let's actually look at our QA list and check off the things that we are for sure not going to do. We're just going to do QA all day tomorrow. Okay, if we don't get to all of the mobile styles today for this, I think we can just do it. We can just add it to our QA day tomorrow. So I am starting to feel like it would be a combination of searching excerpts and titles to sort of narrow down what the correct results would be. Yeah, it'll be interesting once I finish all the transcripts. I have 69 transcripts done. There are a total of 248, and I do the newest live stream every single day. So 248 minus 69, there's still 179 to go, which I'm pretty sure I'll get done by September, the end of September. So, okay. Okay, completed the context chunks feature. Chunk search results now include context before, context after, behavior. Well, let's check the API. So let's do GitHub action. This is a good one because it's not too big. We told it not to touch the front end. So let's look at the API and confirm that we're actually getting the correct results. Ooh, look at this. Context before, context after, context before, and then here's the actual excerpt. So here's the first one. Text. Okay. Text. It's my first GitHub action. And then here's the, here's the after, here's the before. 20 references, 20 results. So let's take a look at what those excerpts are. Okay, well, it remains to be seen how helpful this is going to be. Based on the first one, maybe not so much. I don't know. Let's get it into our JavaScript. Well, let's actually, let's get Postman open. That's going to be a better. Let's get Postman open and make sure. Here's our YouTube database. Here's our search. So even if we just do search SCSS, we should still be seeing those, right? So here's our result. Here's our context before, our context after. You know what? I think this is going to work really well. So now we know that context before and context after are also arrays, but I don't think we need to like for each through, right? I think we can just say 0 and 1. Just get both results. Just get context after text 0 and text 1. 1 and 2, 0, 1, however you want to refer to it, and plop them on the front and the back. So let's do that. Context, so it's going to be result, context before, text. Context before is the array. So let's do it. Okay. So here's our excerpt right here. Here's the thing. We want before and after. So let's do const before equals. So actually, I think the excerpt can still be a paragraph tag, and we'll do before, after, and match as spans. Well, do they all have to be spans? I don't think they all have to be spans. I think that before, but it's an array. So it's still called excerpt, right? Yep. So it's result excerpt, but I want this would be the excerpt container. And then I think the excerpt container text content can be the results. So this instead can be, let's put in our backticks. I think this can be results, context before, context before. We'll get the first one, and then it's text. And we want to do this again. Oops. And we'll get the second one. And then we'll do this again. But this is going to be context after. Context after text. Context after text. But here's our result. And I think, can't we create an element immediately before this, a span? Where did I see that? Where did I see that? I'm absolutely sure we can do that. Right here. Oh, but this is creating a break. So let's go ahead and put the result. We'll call that the match, and we'll put it in a span. Const excerpt match equals document create element span. And then the excerpt match text content will be the result will be this. And this will be this. So now that should be in a span tag, right? What do we think? So here's before the first one, before the second one, the actual match, which should be in a span tag. Honestly, technically, no, it has to be in a span tag because you can't put block level elements inside paragraph tags, but I can change the display of span to display inline block, and then we can give that a background color. And then we've got result context after the first one, result context after the second one, and the text. So let's see how this goes. Oh, this is exciting. First of all, do we have any errors in the console? No, I don't think so. Okay. GitHub action. Look at that. Okay, this is wrong. Let's figure this out. Oh, okay, hang on. I think I have to. I can't remember how to combine these. Give me a second here. How do I just stick that in the middle? I don't remember. Don't tell me. I know that I need to, this needs to be appended, I'm pretty sure. So let's do this. We'll do excerpt. But I just want to, let me think about this. I think we could just do, let me think about this. So I think I do have to put all of these in spans. Can't I just append this? Okay, I need a minute to think about this. I do see that there's a question in the chat. Let's see here. So Shiva is here. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Can anyone tell me how to learn coding and practice it regularly? I mean, you're answering your own question. You're answering your own question. The way you learn coding is by practicing it regularly. How will I actually get the project? So I think that that's a great thing for Google or ChatGPT. Ask, first of all, what do you want to learn? And where do you find prompts or challenges or designs? Ask Google. That's the best place to do that. If you're thinking about the front end, then maybe Google up mockups. If you're thinking about the back end or you just want to work on algorithms or transforming data, that's a great question for ChatGPT to give you practice data and practice problems. And I see here Malik also answered this question. You can use Front End Mentor for front end projects if you don't know where to start, or you could find a site that you like and try to recreate it or put your own spin on it. Please explain how this website works. So there's a link in the description to the GitHub repository, and the repo contains a README. So I'm not going to go through the entire project again and explain every single detail. If you have questions about how the site or the project works, it's all in the README. I would check the description down below. That is my best advice. Practice. I think you answered your own question when you said, how do I get better and how do I practice regularly? That's literally what you do. You practice regularly. So. And I can do the project only after seeing it. When I do it on my own, I don't remember anything. That's because you need to practice more. Once you practice more and you get a little repetition, that's how you learn and that's how you remember. That happens to all of us. So that is not just you. You are not the only one that has that problem. I forget all the time. The way I remember is through repetition and practice, but also you don't need to remember everything. You are not required to remember every single thing. That's why you take notes and you have a GitHub and you version control. So you need more practice in order to remember. You need more practice. That is the best way to learn. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to do the thing that I don't want to do, which is put every single thing in a span. So the excerpt is a paragraph tag. So we'll just do, we'll just, I'm being forced. So we'll do, I'm going to do before. Span, and we'll do after. And our before text content will be this. And our after text content will be this. Before, after, before, after. And then our excerpt match, which is this. Oh, we already have that here. Is that. And then the excerpt append is going to be before, excerpt match after. So I would expect to see all of these three things inside spans, and then we can target this with a class as long as it works, right? Okay, so that all works. We just need to make sure that there's a space. So probably we want to do this. We'll add a space. We'll do that. "20 references, 20 results." Okay. This is exciting to have a GitHub action. Okay. We made a GitHub action. Paste its content into a GitHub. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. I love this. Look how much more. Okay. So let's do something. This was such a good idea. Okay. So now let's just do something extremely generic. We'll just do CSS and see what the results are. And it's going to take a minute, but that's okay. Oh, we have to check and make sure we have our spans. And then we'll highlight the thing. Whoops. Search request failed. Cannot read properties of undefined reading text. Well, it's not a front end problem. Let's reset. Okay, so that was okay. Look how much better these results are. You can literally put in a condition to your CSS. So why don't you prefer SCSS? Okay, so I know that this is responding to, how about, so this is every mention of SCSS. Okay, so clearly we're getting results. But look how much better these results are. We have 3 results. So now let's do this. I'm going to uncheck mode. Okay. These are all in the current. These are all in the current. These are all pulling transcripts for this project. So that's why it's a little weird. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so let's show this. We'll show this to ChatGPT, but let's do a couple other searches. It could, I don't know why that's failing. That has worked in the past. I like this expanded results. So it's interesting. It's not, it wouldn't do like a partial. So okay, so it's pulling results. Okay, here's a good one. Click to load YouTube Shorts and JavaScript Reduce Project Part 15. The world needs good front-end developers. Happy DevOps Day. I do. I kind of like this one, not because, I mean, well, it got 1,000 views, which is good. But it doesn't hurt to have the link as well. And then what's the actual title here? Happy DevOps Day. All right. Let's see here. I don't know. I kind of like this happy DevOps days short. I remember this, what I was talking about. I was talking about the videos that I put on my About page. Deploy a vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript site to DigitalOcean. We also have an SSH key set up. Again, if you want to know what those steps are, I have other tutorials on the channel. I have a DevOps playlist and I have a DevOps repository. So we'll go ahead and log in via SSH, and we do have some updates to do. Osloy, it didn't transcribe your name correctly, but this is me responding to you. And Osloy says, does DigitalOcean do IPv6? I remember this. I honestly don't know what that even means. Listen, I am a DevOps advocate. I am not an expert. I know what I know to get my things deployed. Oh my God. I remember saying this. I remember saying this. That's a good quote, though. I'm just going to be serious for a second. I think that people are not front-end developers, are not doing or taking deployments seriously. DevOps and deployments seriously. And if you work on a big team, you probably have people on the team who are a dedicated DevOps role, right? See how valuable some of these excerpts could be if you were writing like if you were writing an ebook or a blog post or something. Okay, and we do all the updates. We set up a sudo user, we remove root access, we are editing virtual host files, we are setting up SSL certificates. In my deployment, where are we here? In my deployment, in my DevOps repository, I have instructions for rsync, SFTP, FTP with FileZilla. So if you're on a Windows machine, I know that there's a way to use rsync. I love this. Look how much more context we get now to this. I love it. And I don't care anymore about the relevancy score, but I would like the ability to sort my results based on relevancy. I love this. This is so much better. So let's figure out what could be let's do another really broad search like HTML and see what happens if we get like an error. So I'm wondering if it's just, oh, so that worked. Okay, what if we do something like JavaScript? We could even build like a skeleton screen. In fact, I think we will do that. I don't really mind if it takes a second, especially, can you imagine once we add another 200 transcripts, it's only going to get bigger. So we have 1,161 matching excerpts and 69 transcripts. Okay. So I'm going to try CSS one more time. Why don't you like that search? It could just be that there are so many, to me, I feel like we're getting an error because of how broad the search is, but I don't know. Okay, so let's ask. Oh, the other thing though, first, before that, let's go back. Let's reset. Let's go back. Let's do this again. And then let's make sure that we are seeing all of our spans. That's the final thing that I want to do. So here we go. Nice. So now all of these spans, this would be the chunk that is the actual thing. And we could say, so just as an example, we could say display inline block, and then we could give that a background color. Background color yellow, or whatever we decide to do. So whatever it is, because I don't think background colors, yeah, well, technically it would. So whatever the actual result is, we could just highlight it. And it can be, you know, whatever it is. I don't know. Is that too light yellow? Could we do light yellow? Could do anything we want as long as it's accessible. So we'll make sure that we're including that in our styles. And we'll just go ahead, we'll give this a class. So that's the so this is the actual result. So we'll say excerpt match, class list, add I'm going to say match results. So we should see that class now on that span. And then we'll just go ahead, let's just add this color now to our CSS file so we can see it in action. So I'm just going to say background color yellow. Look at that. I love it. We're going to be doing something very similar with the Jane Austen database when we work on that next. So I am loving this more and more and more now that we have more context. So much more. Oh. Okay. And this gives me a lot more ideas now for styling, coming up with a better layout and some styles here. So, okay, so the last thing I want to do here is we're just going to see if ChatGPT has any ideas about why this error might be happening. But also, let's take a screenshot. Just let it know how things are looking here. Things are looking great. For some reason, I get an error when I search CSS. No other errors on any other searches that I can see. That error almost certainly means the front end assumes every result has exactly two context chunks before and after it. Oh, oh yeah, how much you want to bet that we need to do like an if statement. Okay. All right, let's see if we can, that makes total sense actually. So we need to make sure you know what, I'm just gonna ask for help. That makes sense. Can you tell me how to proceed? Basically, what's the best approach? The cleanest approach is to treat the arrays as variable length and build the text from whatever it exists. Whatever exists. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I love it. Let's do it. So here's our before, here's our excerpt match, here's our after. Everything's inside a span. Oh, we should probably search for CSS, the thing that was breaking. Beautiful. So we need to add our space. Which is, oh, we just need to make sure that this is. Okay, let's do it again. Yeah, this looks good. I just love this so much. Okay, this is just so cool. Okay. Um, I was really excited about the titles and very underwhelmed by the excerpts, and now I love the excerpts. I love them. They just have so much more context. And did we update the link though? So we want the video link should be the timestamp of the first context before result. So where is right here? So it just, but this is a local timestamp. Wait. YouTube start, YouTube ends, YouTube timestamp. Oh, this is before. Clearly, I see, and I wondered that too. Why are we doing local? Why aren't we doing the YouTube? Or is it playback timestamp? Maybe playback timestamp is the calculated timestamp for the first chunk. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. So it would be playback timestamp or playback timestamp URL. This comes about 6 seconds before this, and I think YouTube timestamp is the actual excerpt timestamp. So I bet this is the calculated timestamp. Result. That's the href. And so this would also change. I don't think I'm going to show this, but we can. So let's see. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we'll do, let's do DevOps. Okay, understanding. What did this used to be? So now it's this. What was it? Oh, that's the timestamp URL. Playback timestamp URL. I actually want, where are you? Right here. Just the timestamp, not the URL. I know it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of. Okay, so now let's try DevOps. Luckily, I am actually keeping track of it. I really, really am. Okay, perfect. So now it's YouTube and we can see the timestamp. It's not being sorted by relevance anymore. It's being sorted by basically the order in which it appears. So let's see if there's another one here. Perfect, right here. Deploy a vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript site to DigitalOcean Part 23. So here's what I would expect to have happen once we click this link. sudo user. We also have an SSH key set up. Again, if you want to know what those steps are, I have other tutorials on the channel. I have a DevOps playlist and I have the DevOps repository. So we'll go ahead and log in. That was perfect. That was perfect. Here, we'll do that. We'll do Osloy's question. At all. And Osloy says, does DigitalOcean do IPv6? I honestly don't know what that even means. Listen, I am a DevOps advocate. I am not an expert. I know what I know to get my things deployed. When it comes to things like IPv6, I actually don't. Perfect. What do we think? I love this. So our timestamps are working. We have context now. We can search. We have our relevance results, but we figured out that our idea of relevant is a little bit different than the database's idea of relevant. But with context, I honestly don't care. I'll figure it out myself. And let's see here. What else can I search for? We'll do QA again. And then within the results, we will sort excerpts within the results. We'll figure that out. So I think I want to be able to, so when it comes to the results themselves, I want to be able to sort the transcripts by date, and we'll format the date. But I want to be able to sort the transcripts by date, ascending or descending. And I guess we could also sort transcripts by like alphabetically. I don't know what value that has. I think that being able to sort transcripts by date, ascending or descending, makes the most sense. We might want to sort by project. You can already pick a project. So since you can narrow the search by project, I don't know if that has value. To me, the thing that would be the most valuable, sorting the topmost results, the transcripts themselves, is by date. Yeah, because they're clearly not in order by date. And then within each transcript that has multiple excerpts, we would be able to sort the excerpts themselves, ascending and descending. So that's what I'm thinking. Otherwise, I'm obviously thrilled with this. So, but those are all front-end issues. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the database is done. The API is done. Everything at this point feels like a front-end issue unless I run into something else. I'm very happy with what's happening in the API. Yeah, so I guess this is a good place to stop for today. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Go Elmo. Malik Robinson says, very nice work, working great. Very nice work, working great so far. Thank you. Osley. Donkey. Funny. All right. I think this is a good place to stop for today. Come back this weekend. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow, Friday. Saturday and Sunday this weekend, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're really going to dig into the UI. I would really like to have this wrapped up this weekend. I think that that's a really good goal. I don't know why we couldn't. Um, Implement the sorting, tidy up some of these designs a little, the UI a little bit. I'm not worried about responsiveness, although I don't think that would be particularly difficult. Um, well, why would I worry about responsiveness if this is a local private database that I will never, literally never see on my phone? So I'm not worried about responsiveness for that reason. Yeah, we'll just clean up the desktop UI. I think that's fine. And then we're going to move on to our Jane Austen database. Do me a favor if you wouldn't mind. Like the video, subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to have you. I'm generally here on Saturday and Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, but I often pop in during the week. We just finished a nice little 3-day sprint. Thrilled with our progress. Thank you to everybody who came to hang out with me today in the chat. I appreciate you all, and I will see you this weekend. Bye-bye.